afternoon, Hills Panthers. This is Mr. Acker with the weekly update. Today is January 14th, 2022. Welcome to the new year. Lots of news for this upcoming week. There is no school on Monday. We're going to celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Remember, that's a day of service, and we need to go out there as Americans and make sure that we're serving our communities to honor the memory of the late, great Martin Luther King Jr. Next Friday, we have the district spelling bee, and our representative, Giselle Ramirez Vasquez, we're going to be rooting her on here at school. And so we want to wish Giselle luck next week in the spelling bee. All right, a couple new things with the guidelines for COVID exposure. I know there's been a lot of confusion, especially with the Omicron variant. We've had a lot of positive cases, and with that have come a lot of exposures, a lot of students that have been exposed. So you may have noticed the district handed out at-home test kits on Monday of this week. And then also we're going to be handing out an additional at-home test kit today, Friday. So the change in the guidelines happened at the CDC level. And so basically what we're looking at next week, if a student was exposed this week, if the students have no symptoms, they can return on Tuesday. They can return next Tuesday. So that the guidance has changed. So some of it, we may have told you that you got to come back next Friday or next Thursday, but the guidance has changed. So any student that was exposed this week can return as long as they don't have symptoms. If they have symptoms, continue to follow the guidance. If we said Thursday or Friday, again, if you have symptoms, don't come to school. Students that tested positive this week, if you're able to produce a negative COVID test, you can return. If you are continuing to have symptoms, again, do not return. Just come back on the date that we told you to come back on. At no point, if you have symptoms, should you come to school. So another shift that we have is in tracing. So we've been doing contact tracing, and now we're going to shift to group tracing. And so the difference of that is, instead of looking at where a student sat in a class, it's the entire class. So we would give the entire class a letter. There was a student in your class that was positive for COVID-19, instead of excluding everybody that was close to that student. And so the big change in this is the students that are not symptomatic, they get to stay at school. And so we remove the student that's positive, and then the students that are not symptomatic, that have no symptoms, they stay. Those students that were exposed, they should get tested within 3 to 5 days. And again, we have that testing here on site. And so that testing will be available to students, but they will, and then the testing, we have that here at school. The parents will need to fill out a form to make it so we can test your students, or obviously you can take your student to their doctor. That would work as well. But again, big shift here. So instead of you're sitting next to a kid that was COVID positive, instead of us sending the kid, pulling him in the cares room, sending them home, we're keeping all the students that are not symptomatic. The students that don't have symptoms, they get to stay. And again, just to go over the symptoms, and in the light gray, if you have a fever, shortness of breath, difficulty breathing, late loss of taste or smell, new or persistent worsening cough, red or itchy eyes, those are, don't stop. Like any of those, you need to stay home. Those are the big ones. If you have two of the ones in the dark black, sore throat, unexplained muscle or body aches, chills, fatigue, headache, congestion, diarrhea, nausea, abdominal pain, or poor appetite, two of those, and that would be considered the symptoms. So again, I know that this is a lot of changes, and parents be ready. We're going to send home at-home test kits today. So just to go back, if we put you out because of exposure this week, is if your student does not have symptoms, they can come back on Tuesday. And if students tested positive, if they're able to produce a negative test result, they can come back on Tuesday as well. All right, Panthers, have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.